Worship in 2025 is evolving. I mean, we're here physically together worshiping, but also many people are joining us right now virtually on Facebook and live stream and YouTube and our website and radio and television. Worship keeps evolving. And get this, I've heard now from many people that they worship with us on an earbud while they're working out. I mean, a fairly substantial amount of people. Last week, someone said, "Boy, I appreciated your worship." I said, I didn't see you on Sunday, did I? They go, "No, I was doing burpee squats and planks while I was listening to the service, and it was really moving." Literally, I guess. I mean, and I think this is kind of a neat image, people worshiping God while they're working out. Talk about a body, mind, and soul experience. So now I'm mindful that even as I begin to preach, there's probably someone in a spin class right now, and I need to be talking to them, and so I asked AI, what are the most common things a fitness instructor says when they're working somebody out? And it said these things: "You can do it. Great job. You're amazing. You're almost there. Keep pushing." So I've got to add these kind of sentences to the sermon because people are working out right now. And I noticed from these things that fitness instructors say, they start sounding like preachers. Listen, they say, "You're stronger than you think. The pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow." Ooh, that's good, isn't it? The pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow. They start sounding like preachers. We don't need to be perfect. You just have to get started. Yeah. Well, this sounds totally like a preacher. Every morning you're born again. What we do today matters most. Oh, those fitness instructors can preach. Well, we're going to get a workout in the Bible passage today. John chapter 5, you have it in your hand, and I want us to walk through it line by line, and then you're going to hear from the great fitness instructor, Jesus our Lord. He'll ask the question. It sounds like someone working us out. He says, "Do you want to be well? Do you want to get better?" Okay, let's start working through this passage. By the way, maybe I could start preaching in yoga pants. Oh, I just gave you an image, didn't I? First verse. "After this, there was a festival of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem." Well, let's pause already. All through the Gospels, Jesus is being presented as an observant Jew. He's in the Gospel of John, he's going up to Jerusalem constantly for these festivals. There's 7 festivals in Judaism. I don't remember them all, but like festivals of the booths and Passover and normal Sabbath and Pentecost and Rosh Hashanah and Purim. And so Jesus is a faithful Jew. Have you remembered the Jewishness of Jesus lately? Because I think that's the gospel telling us some very important things. First, it should hurt your heart a little bit that we follow our Lord is Jewish. It should hurt your heart that there's been so much enmity and antagonism between Christians and Jews throughout the ages. It wasn't meant to be that way. He's Jewish. And you would think if we remember that, there would be a natural joy between the faiths. But we've struggled with that. Also, if you can remember the Jewishness of Jesus, you can remember that it's not really about religion. You see, we don't worship Christianity. Did you hear me? We don't worship Christianity. We worship God and we follow Jesus. If you read the Gospels, you will see it's not about religion. We don't worship Christianity. It's not about religion. It's about following Jesus and being in right relationship with God. In fact, again and again in the Gospels, there looks like there's a critique going on of organized religion. Any minister should get uneasy reading the Gospels. All the religious officials are the bad guys in there. It's not about worshiping doctrine or creed. It's about following Him. I know tradition and rituals and theology, I know that stuff matters, but not as much as Him. Remember the Jewishness of Jesus. You know, His name wasn't Jesus. Nobody called Him that. That's a later Greek transliteration. Nobody ever called Him Jesus. His name was Rabbi Yeshua ben Yosef. His name was Joshua, Yeshua. That was His name. And He's called Rabbi all throughout the Gospels. Rabbi Yeshua ben Yosef, Joshua son of Joseph. Remember His Jewishness and open your heart. Second verse. Now in Jerusalem by the sheep gate, there is a pool called in Hebrew Bethzatha, or when we anglicize it, the pool at Bethesda, which has 5 porticos. And among those colonnades lay many ill, blind, lame, and paralyzed people. One man was there who had been ill for 38 years. Okay, let's pause. It's always interesting when the gospel gives you a really specific number, kind of like out of nowhere. What does it mean? Well, you might immediately remember that 38 years, that's about the same time the people of Israel were in the wilderness. So maybe it's already starting out saying this guy has been in the wilderness a long time. Maybe that. But I think maybe something else is underway. You see, as we go through this story, we're going to discover this is not a good guy. He's not a good person. As we unpack this story, you'll see that he's whiny. He's got a victim mentality. He's an ingrate. You'll see how self-centered he is. And then you'll see him throw Jesus under the bus. He'll just throw someone to the side. You'll see this. So as we discover he's not a good guy, maybe that 38 years means, well, that's the number of his whole adult life. That he's not been a good person for a long time. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew he'd been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be well?" Sometimes a gospel sentence just pops off the page and hits you right between your own eyes. When I was reading this text this week, I felt like Jesus was saying directly to me, "Do you want to be well? Do you want to be better?" I could be kind of lazy. I'm not always working on myself that hard. And all my foibles, they're really familiar to me now. I kind of like them. They're who I am. Do I really want it? Do I want to change? Do I want to be well? The ill man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water's stirred up. And while I'm making my way, someone else gets there ahead of me." I'm trying to sound whiny because this guy, you'll see, he's totally a whiny guy. See, the local legend had it that an angel would trouble the waters, and if you got into the water in time, you could be healed. There's healing shrines all over the world. This is just yet another one where people think there might be a miraculous healing that could take place. We're going to see it's not going to come from the pool. It's not that place. It'll be through the Christ. But already you're getting a sense that this guy's got a bad mentality. He's whining, and then Jesus says to him, stand up. Take up your mat and walk. I'm almost hearing Jesus a little irritated. He's whining. He goes, stand up. Stand up. At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat and he began to walk. And so here, at this point in the story, we have yet another miraculous healing of Jesus. He is a miraculous healer. It's amazing and it's beautiful. But I need to pause for a moment, because there's something about the gospel I have really struggled with. There's something about the gospel I've never fully understood. Jesus is a miraculous healer. I believe in miracles. I believe in the supernatural power of Christ. I do. And he can heal at His word right here. But my friends, Jesus is standing there with a whole bunch of other people suffering around that pool, and He only heals one. If He could do it at His command, I've never understood this about the gospel. He could just say, hey, everybody, stand up. He's got the power. What's the gospel trying to say? Why doesn't He heal? They're right there. All throughout the gospel, you'll see Jesus doesn't really seek out people to heal. They come to Him, and the crowds form around Him, but He's sort of a laconic healer. He's not very activated about it. What's going on? He could heal everybody. Why didn't He? I've struggled with this. I've begun to think that maybe first and foremost, the gospel is trying to be real. You know this about our world. Not everyone gets healed. That's a hard truth. Now, they're healed in the Christian faith ultimately by death. We believe death is a transformation and a healing. Everyone will experience that, but in the world now, a lot of people won't get healed. I think the gospel is being very real. But even more, I think the gospel is keeping its eye on the ball. The message here is that the Christ, this pure love, is offering healing to all humanity, that you can be put back in right relationship with God, and it's staying focused on that everybody can be put back in right relationship with God. I've struggled with that, though. They're right there. Now that day, next verse, that day was a Sabbath. So, this is one of these things that happen in the Gospels, that Jesus heals on the Sabbath, and that's considered in various ways to break certain Sabbath regulations. And so there's this kind of trope in the Gospels that He'll get in a controversy with the other Jewish leaders. Remember, He's Jewish too, so it's an inter-Jewish squabble. They're all Jewish, but He'll get in these arguments about that. And so next verse, so the Jews said to the man who had been cured, it's the Sabbath. It's not lawful for you to carry your mat, because there's a Sabbath regulation against doing work, and strictly interpreted, he's carrying around a mat, so it's breaking a Sabbath regulation. And so, but he answers to them, well, the man who made me well said to do it. It's like little 5-year-old Tommy. He told me to. You hear what kind of guy this guy is? Oh, he told me to. He'll just deflect any responsibility. He's that kind of guy. They asked him then, well, who is the man that told you to do that? And then the man who had been healed didn't know who it was. So get this. You want to talk about self-centered? You just got healed after 38 years, miraculously. He didn't even ask Jesus his name. He didn't even say like, oh man, thank you, my name's Bob. This guy's all about himself. I'm telling you, the gospel is making it clear. He didn't even know who it was. Changed his whole life. Later, Jesus found him in the temple, and Jesus said, look, you've been made well. So Jesus, in his kind of omniscient spiritual understanding, knows this guy's just sideways. You've been made well. Don't sin anymore so that nothing else worse happens to you. Start being a better person. Be a good person. That'd be the real healing. Be better. What happens next? The man went away and told the authorities it was Jesus who had made him well. So then he rats him out. The story ends with him just being a snitch. He's not a good guy. It's really interesting the way this gospel portrays this story. You think it's just going to be a miraculous healing, but much more is going on. The greater healing would be if he could become a better person. Your singular task in life is to develop your most noble traits. That is the purpose of your life. To develop your most noble traits, to be a better person. There's nothing that matters more. That is life itself, to be a good soul. Do you want to be better? Sometimes it's just step by little step is how you become a better person. Not some miraculous transformation. Even Jesus didn't miraculously transform him into a good dude. It's going to take time if this guy wants to work on it. It's step by step. Have you ever read or heard from Glennon Doyle? Glennon Doyle is sort of a self-help guru and really done some beautiful things to help people be better people. And she's got a new book out right now. And she uses a phrase a lot. She says 51%. She'll say that to people all the time. 51%. 51%. And what she means is 51% of your life, you're a good person, you got it together, you're doing great, you've got a beautiful life. 51%. 49% of your life is like a hot mess. And you blow it, you screw things up. And it could sound like, well, that's kind of depressing. No, she's trying to say 51%, I mean, you're mostly then good. And she just brought a book out that's filled with the core life questions that we're always asking ourselves, these basic questions like, am I happy, or am I doing the right thing, and what's my purpose in life? She goes through 20 core questions, and I would say Jesus gives us one of those absolutely core questions. Do you want to be well? Do you want to be better? It's the purpose of your life. And it will be step by little step. For example, I saw this study, a meta-analysis of all the happiness studies that have been published over the last 20 years. And they were trying to narrow down what's the key to human happiness. And they studied all the studies, and the answer was, and it's really obvious, your relationships. That's what makes a human being happy. The quality of your relationships. But get this. This study also proved that it doesn't have to be the big, most complex steps forward in your relationships. This study proved that even if you have one or two positive encounters in even trivial ways with the people around, that it measurably, more than anything else, makes someone happy. I mean, just if you kind of purposely had a fun little positive interaction with the cashier at the grocery store, just something positive that it found it does the human heart so good. These little things, just have one or two positive, uplifting interactions a day with even people you don't know. You see, it's little steps. It's the same way with being a better person. The very next moment, you have a chance for a little step. just be a little kinder, a little wiser, a little more grace-giving and forgiving in the next moment, just a little bit. It accumulates. Even in the miraculous power of Jesus, this guy didn't become a better person right away. If he's going to try, we don't know he's going to try. We don't hear about him again. But if he does, it'll be step by little step. It's the sole purpose of your life to keep getting better, being more in touch with your best self. And maybe the key, here it is. Here's how a sermon ends, right about now. The key is it's also not all up to you. It's not some huge honking task that God has put on you that is never finished. No, you see, God is in this. If you let God in. Do you remember St. Francis's prayer? The opening line, make me a channel of your peace. Well, this is a key to being a better person. It's not all up to you. Let God in. Be a channel of God's love and light. It's not all up to you. God can have this. Just become a channel. Where there is despair, you'll be the hope. Where there is hate, you can be the love. Become a channel of our beautiful God. And so, I'll end a sermon exactly like a good fitness instructor. You can do this. You're amazing. The pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow. You got this. You got this. Amen.